Welcome, guys. Mr. Aguilar here. Sorry I'm not here with you guys today, but you guys should get the handout from the sub, and we're going to go ahead and get started for this. We're going to keep on moving on. We are doing circles now, and you guys have this handout in front of you. You guys have 12.1 equations of circles. The essential question: what is the standard form of the equation of a circle, and what does it tell you about the circle? So I think I'm going to kind of jump around just because some of these questions are kind of more trickier and difficult. So each part is broken down into each of the sections. And what you guys see from the little top portion is how they're related. So part one goes with part one of your handout, part two, part three, so forth and so on. I think it kind of froze on me. Hopefully we can kind of get this out. So let's see where we're at here. There we go. So what we first need to understand is that the equation of a circle is no different than what we talked about for the vertex form of a parabola, in that each different variable has a different value. To talk about a circle, it must have a center. We get that from our h and k. We're going to do the opposite values just as we did before in the parentheses with our values for the circle. The x and y are just points on the circle, and we're going to be able to determine specific values or the r value that corresponds to that. And r is considered the radius. So given a circle of hk, just like you would the vertex of a parabola, we're going to be able to calculate the radius that is provided. So before I kind of jump into our second part and starting to write these up, we want to make sure we understand that the circle of the equation is given to you on the left-hand side. And we want to be able to apply the values that correspond to each of these values. So we're going to go ahead and write this up. We're going to write the equations that kind of correspond to them. So let me kind of, it's freezing on me. So let's do this again. Wrong one. Okay. We want to be able to write the equation given a center and given a radius. We correspond the center as our hk and the radius as our r. And all we're really going to do is we're really going to just plug it in. And what we get here is we're going to get x minus the h, which is the minus sign will give us plus 3, squared plus y. Our k value is plus 2, so we're going to say minus 2. Squared is equal to r squared. And the only difference with our r squared for this one is we're going to just square it. So 4 squared is going to be the value that corresponds. So the final value to write the equation given a center and a radius is x plus 3, always opposite, right? Plus y minus 2 squared is equal to 16. This is the value that kind of corresponds to the equation. And let me kind of highlight for you guys. This would be our answer of the equation. Give the second one a shot. Okay, given a center and radius, we're just going to plug back in the center and the radius to write it in the form that we're looking for on this left. We're looking for the equation that it's given. So here we go. If you need to pause it, try it by yourself. Give this is our h, this is our k, this is our r. All we're going to do is plug it back in. So x minus 1 squared plus y plus 4 squared is equal to 9 squared. We should understand that 9 squared is 81. If you're unsure, grab a calculator to write this up. And there it is. So this is the equation with a center of 1, -4, and a radius of 9. Whenever we're solving for the radius, it's easy for us to take the square root of a value to solve for these. So I'm going to kind of illuminate what we're going to kind of get to for the next portion of this. So the next one, there we go. The next one is now giving us a point and giving us the center. So we now want to be able to write the equation that this kind of corresponds to. And the way that we're going to do that is, again, we're just going to associate our values. This is our center, which is our HK. This always goes in opposite. And the point is just XY. We don't know what R is. So we're going to solve for R and then write it all together. All you really want to do is plug in your value. So our X value corresponds to 2. This does not go in backwards. The H value corresponds to the -4, so we're going to say +4 squared plus my Y value corresponds to my 5, with my K value being -3, so we're going to say +3 because we always do opposite, is equal to R squared. So all you got to do, this is really a calculator part, but if you really want to solve this out, this would be 6 squared plus 8 squared is equal to R squared. You're going to get 36 plus 64 is equal to R squared. We're going to get 36 and 64 is 100 is equal to R squared. Take the square root. Now, whenever we take the square root, we always say that we have a plus or minus, right, square root. But in this case, we cannot have a negative radius, so it only has to be positive. With this and our center of -4, 3, just like we did before, we're going to go ahead and write the equations that these correspond to. So this is going to give me, with a center, x plus 4 squared plus y plus 3 squared is equal to 10 squared. And we're going to go ahead and finish that up by squaring our last part. And finish off, 10 squared is definitely 100. So we're going to kind of finish that value off. So this is our equation given a center and a point on the circle. So this is fairly easy for us to do. And we can always test that by plugging back in our points into the equation to see if we get 100. So it should always work out. I believe the next one is for you guys to try. So give these two a shot, see what you guys get. Pause these just so you guys can practice them. You guys are going to go ahead and go on with me. That's fine. So again, I'm going to kind of take the shortcut way. We're looking for it to write an equation given the point and given the center. So I'm going to go ahead and already correspond these points into our values using this as X, this as Y, this as H, this as K. We correspond the points according to the values. I'm going to plug all these in. We're missing R, so we're going to solve for our R in our equations. This will be -3 for my X, plus 2, because we're doing the opposite value and plugging in for the center, plus -1, -1 minus 5 squared is equal to R squared. So we're going to go ahead and solve this equation out. This right here is definitely a calculator step. So if you want to just go ahead and plug this in, you definitely can. I'm going to do this in my head. -1 squared is just 1, plus -1 minus 5 is -6. -6 squared is 36, is equal to R squared. We're going to get R squared is equal to 37. So R is equal to the square root of 37. Now in this case, you can go ahead and leave your value alone. You don't need to give me the correct value for these. As long as I find your center and your R, you're going to be okay writing these equations up. I'm going to go ahead and write the equation using my center. This will be X plus 2 squared plus Y minus 5 squared is equal to 37. In this case, square root of 37 squared is just 37, so we don't have to really do anything with this one. So I'm going to leave that one alone. So we're already on part number 4, so hopefully you guys are trying out the next one. Another way you can just do this is just directly plug them into the equation. And I'm going to just go ahead and do that. I'm still going to label this HK, XY for my point. So we're going to plug these in. My point is -5 plus 7 because I'm using my opposite point, plus y 18 minus 15, always using the opposite point, is equal to r squared. I'm going to get 4 here. I'm going to get 9 here is equal to r squared. I'm going to get 13 is equal to r squared. R is equal to the square root of 13. And all we're going to really do is plug this back in. X plus 7 using that first as my center point, plus y minus 15 squared. Squaring a square root is going to just give me 13. So again, we're not done with these. We're just practicing these. I'll come back and I'll review them with you guys. But that's all we're going to try to do with our first value. So all I'm trying to do is write the equation, either given the center and radius, or in these type of problems, given a center and point, can we find the equation? So here we go. We're going to keep on moving along. I don't want to take too much time. Okay. These are the easy types now. So what we want to be able to do with these is go ahead and graph the equation using the circle, and provided that we have the equation for the center and radius. So we're going to go ahead and find the center here. The center being -1, -2. And we're going to go ahead, and we're getting them from our h and k values here. And our center is described as opposite to this value is -1, opposite to this value is -2. To find the radius, all we got to do is take the square root of the r squared. Square root of 25 is 5. So to graph these, we want to be able to subtract out, plot the center. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go back to down to. So from here, we're going to go ahead and graph the radius of this. So we're going to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is one of the points given a radius. We're going to go back 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 5, 3, 4, 5. And right 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. These points correspond to the radius of the circle. And if we graph this out, missing this, that is what our center, or our circle would look like if we were to graph this. So it's very easy. Find the center, find the radius, plot the center, and then from the center, go up, down, left, and right by your radius, or whatever the square root of your r squared is going to be. So very, very simple types of problems here. This is the next one, so part 6 of us. If we're doing the value here, try this one out if you want to. In this case, I'm going to pull my h value from my -4. This is going to give me +4 for my center. My +2 will be -2. Always do the opposite. And then to find my radius, I'm going to take the square root of 9, which happens to be 3. So the first thing we want to be able to do is graph center. From the next part, we want to be able to plot the radius. So we're going to go over 4, down 2. We're going to go up 3, down 3, left 3, and right 3. This is how we want to be able to identify the center and radius for our values. Part 7 is going to have you guys try this next part out. So give these ones a shot and see what you guys get. I'm going to go ahead and start these up. This is our center being pulled from the x and y values. It's going to be +3, +5. To find the radius, we take the square root of the r squared. Square root of 1 is just 1. So with that given points, we should be able to graph our function. Center is over 3, 5. Sorry for the noise. We're going to go from our center, we're going to go back 1, up 1, left 1, and down 1. So this is a tiny little graph that we're going to look at. During the next one, we want to be able to graph the center. So back 2, up 3. We pull them from the +2 and -3 that represent the h and k. Our radius is going to be the square root of 16, which happens to be 4. So I'm going to plot the center, back 2, up 3. Label this the center. From the center, we're going to go up 4, down 4, left 4, and right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. So these are what the circles are going to look like if we pull them from the equation and we graph it. These are the simplest ones we can do. We don't need to make a chart. We don't need to make a table in order to plug these values in. Here we go. So sorry about that, guys. I paused the video just to make sure I can get that noise out. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. Hopefully you guys were able to catch on. For this next part, we want to be able to write the equation given the graph. And this is the kind of final part that we're going to kind of lead up to. If you're able to do the other part, this part is fairly simple. What we're going to do here, why it's all messed up here. What we're going to do is we want to be able to identify the center and radius, and it's easy for us to do this. With our graph, we can identify the center is located on our coordinate points at 0, -3. And we want to be able to find the r value. In this case, the radius corresponds to the lengths from the top, bottom, or sides. So if I can count the distance, I'm going to know what that value is. And from the center, up, down, left, and right is 3. So all we want to be able to do is take our values and plug them back in. We're going to get x plus 0, that corresponds to the h value, squared plus y. The k value is -3, so to plug it back in, we do the opposite, is equal to 3 squared. R is our radius, so it's very simple for us to correspond that to. Now you guys can do the x squared, but I'm going to leave this one in here just so I can show you that it represents the point for the h value. Okay. So that's what I'm looking for our final answer, corresponding the center and our radius values for those as well. So these ones are fairly simple, and it's going to go a little bit quicker. We're almost done. Can you find the center and radius, and then can you write the equation for me? So this is the part 9 that we're going to look at. With this here, we want to be able to identify the center. Center corresponds to -4, -1. Our radius corresponds 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3 left, 1, 2, 3 down. So in our case, our r is 3. We're going to do and plug our values in. X plus 4 square, we always plug in the opposite value to the h value, plus y plus 1, that's our k value, squared is equal to 3 squared. If you're comfortable just about squaring that value because you understand what you have to do, you're more than welcome to. X plus 4 squared, y plus 1 squared is equal to 9. And again, all I'm looking for is our center, radius, and the equation that you guys provide. Okay. I think you guys have 2 more to try for the bottom ones. And you guys are going to do these. Some of you guys can just write the equations that these represent. I'm going to do that, so please pause the video, try these out really quick. Okay, listen to some music for a minute or 2 and then come back. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this up for part 10. The center and radius that I'm looking for is -2. Gotta change that color. -2, 3 with a radius of 1. It only goes up, down, left, up by 1. To write the equation, because I'm kind of super running out of room on the bottom, this will be x plus 2 squared. We always do opposite. Plus y minus 3 squared is equal to r squared of just 1. So these are the things that I'm looking for. Hopefully you're able to get those. The next one over to our right, doing the same thing. Finding the center at 3, 2 with a radius of 1, 2, 3, 4. I only need to really do one of them. So 4. We're going to go ahead and write that remaining equation. Again, writing it a little bit above just because I don't have that much room. Always do the opposite for our h and k values. Y minus 2 squared. This is h, that's k, just kind of revising it. And then our r squared is 4 squared, or 16. So I'm hoping these were not too hard for you guys to get. Okay. So practice those. Look over those notes. This would be your homework today, but I'm going to kind of hold this off. I think it's going to take you the duration to kind of do this. Take your time and really practice this. This is what you guys will probably be doing tomorrow. Okay. These are just extra practice problems that we're going to do later. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. I hope you guys are having a good day with the sub. Take care. Please be good. Bye.